The idea for us was to kind of like talk through each of the films. You kind of like explain its meaningfulness to you, the importance of the film. And it's kind of like us reviewing the film, and it's a way into understanding America. And the idea was it's just us talking about films. They would think, but it's like, oh, actually, it explains what you're going to see. People in the audience can be like, that's what the ACLU signifies. That's why you're so passionate about that idea of democracy. The intro with the band singing, like all of these things will make sense as we discuss it or whatever. I've not seen any of these films. And
Wait a
so,
minute, you hadn't seen The Exorcist?
no, I don't do well with horror. I'm not good with horror.
You are so funny. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
You had not seen Space Odyssey?
No, I was talking to my landlord about it. He was like, MC, that movie is one of the most important films ever made. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. It's like, I don't do well with Kubrick. The only Kubrick I've seen is Clockwork Orange.
That is amazing. Well, that's a good one to see. I mean, normally I'm not someone that's like gonna do a patriotic
Yeah.
event, but it's just like given the time that we're in, what's at risk right now with the election coming up,
Seriously.
that I've got to make people feel like, you know, can help to create change in the society by coming together. That's why I looked so much to the United Farm Workers movement and those movements who, were inspiring because they brought, people came together to fight for a cause and it actually made change. And it's kind of what needs to happen now.
Salt of the Earth, like, explained all of that. And watching it's like, okay, what are we getting to? And it's like, oh, then when all of these like moments would happen, like the kind of equality push against the mine owners, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like today, because if Trump wins, then every kind of minority party, every disenfranchised individual is at risk in a real way.
It's like the fundamental protest movie. It really tells that story like
Mhm.
very clearly in a way that a lot of different people could ingest at the time, you know? And it's like, you've got the women's rights and you've got the mine workers' rights. There's so many cultural nuances in that film that even though it's dated and it's black and white, in some ways it's even more charismatic because it's dated.
The paradoxical nature of where the farm workers are fighting for the rights, but yet they see their women, their domestic partner, as a second class citizen. And it's like, don't make a fool of yourself. If you go out there and protest, you're gonna look like an idiot. You're gonna emasculate us. You'll make us look foolish. And
Uh,
so thinking of LGBTQIA plus in that way too, to where it's like there's another way to understand our specific struggle too.
True. All of those things that are like from the fucking 50s are still relevant now, just, as it applies to queer culture and
Yeah.
to trans people.
There's a white man at the table of the titular Mexican character, and like he points to Benito Juarez, and he's like, "Is that your grandfather?" And he's like, "Dude, if I didn't know a picture of George Washington, you'd say that I was a dumb Mexican." And I was like my first apartment was like 2 blocks away from a high school, ironically, Benito Juarez High School, and so like I was like, idiot, fucking idiot, and again, you know, American totems, American perceptions. It's like one is actually the same, because Benito Juarez is like the first post-colonial democratically voted president in Mexico. That's as important as George Washington, which in a weird way is as important as Harriet Tubman. So there are all these ways to understand what you were doing and America and America. I was like, okay, I get why you made me watch this movie.
That movie, it's always been one of my favorites. And every time I watch it, I'm like, man, this movie is like, it seems like it's just so relevant.
Show her the sign. We'll make a lot of signs like this, then we'll get all the wives together and go right out.
And every time I see it, it's like, it kind of serves new purpose to what's happening in the world at that given moment. But for me right now, at the time, it was just about like these voices coming together. But all those nuances that you mentioned are so 100% true.